Κύριο Harbour να πάρει το λόγο για 4 λεπτά.
Well, Madam President, I'm very pleased to be here, rather later than I expected, and thank you very much for including me in the speakers list. So I was sorry to miss Simon Busuttil's presentation of his report and your response, Commissioner. But I would just say that, as the chairman of the committee, I'm pleased that so many colleagues are here to support you, and we don't all agree on everything, as Mrs. Rapti indicated, but nevertheless I think the detailed analysis of the issues in this report is an indication of the depth of knowledge and engagement that my committee has with single market issues. And I know that you will be taking it seriously, as I'm sure that you've already said at the beginning. Now, unfortunately, because I wasn't here to hear everybody else's speech, I don't know whether I will be duplicating what people have already said. But I, in my remarks, just want to concentrate on two particular aspects. I'll come back in a moment to refer to this question about infringements that Mrs. Rapti raised. But I want to highlight what I think must be an evolution of the way that we are monitoring the effectiveness and impact of the single market. And that is to understand the level of lost opportunities that are still there. I'm reminded of a phrase that was used by one of your distinguished predecessors, Mr. Bolkenstein, in one of his reports, which we received annually on the single market, and I've been around long enough in the single market to have done a report on that, where he described the single market as a Ferrari motoring along in second gear. At the time I said it wasn't necessarily a Ferrari that we wanted, because it's not top speed, it's actually solidity, reliability, and actually accessibility to everybody. But I think the point was nevertheless well made, because the problem that we have, colleagues, is that we don't know how many lost opportunities are still out there in the single market, where businesses have tried to sell goods or services in a country which they are legally entitled to do, and they are still frustrated by existing barriers, many of which should have been cast away by the Services Directive and the goods package, and so they go off and they go to another market, or they take another product. Now, those lost opportunities we can never calculate. But I think the question about attitudes of business to the single market, knowledge of the instruments like Solvit and the point of single contact, are clear indicators about loss of potential. In this report, there is just a short paragraph, but a significant one, where we're asking the Commission to include the findings of Eurobarometer surveys in the annual governance check-up. And what I particularly want to ask the Commissioner is if in the annual Eurobarometer surveys that are linked into the governance framework for the internal market, we should be including awareness measures about how well companies and individuals know about their rights, know about Solvit, know about the points of single contact. Because if we don't do that, we'll have no indication about how Member States and Commission are promoting together. And similarly, my colleagues have called on the Your Europe platform to be integrated together so we have a single powerful brand name that citizens and businesses will know where to go to get information. So that's my first point. On the second point about infringements, I think that the core idea that was in the report about fast-track procedures stands. It may well be that ideas about an independent infringement assessment, I think, are at too much of an early stage, but to be fair to Mr. Busuttil's amendment, it only says potentially considered. But it seems to me that if people cannot sell a product or a service because of a government not implementing legislation, we have to deal with that quickly. Justice delayed is justice denied.
Στην διαδικασία Catch the Eye και θέλω πρώτα να δώσω το λόγο στην κυρία Μαζέη Κουκοβίτς.
Hvala lepa, predsedujoča, spoštovani gospod komisar. Ob 20. obletnici notranjega trga in ob tej resni krizi je vsekakor poročilo